Hello, so this is Natasha. I'm Natasha Star from Earth Mother's Star Child, um, and I want to talk today about being an Earth Angel and the problems associated with being an Earth Angel. So it's one of the areas that I'm really interested in, and I'm meeting more and more Earth Angels, which is quite fascinating. So, what is an Earth Angel? First of all. An earth angel carries an angelic vibration. So it's usually a soul, which is an angelic soul, which has either previously not incarnated on earth, or they've done a lot of work in other dimensions, or they have incarnated on earth, and but they've done a lot of incarnations on different planetary systems and earth, and their soul now has returned back into the angelic vibration. So basically, a lot of them, most of the earth angels I know, did not have to come back to work karma. They had completed all their cycles, and the fact that they come back now to incarnate on earth is part of the ascension process, part of the great call that was made out to Gaia that brought all the indigos in, and a lot of earth angels were born under the indigo ray. Not all of them, but it's all part of this process, depending on what they came here to do. So, an earth angel is quite unique. It has some unique characteristics. They're quite easy to spot. They're usually high frequency. Usually, they are involved in healing of some kind, and you'll notice that their bodies, often they can put on weight easily. One of the reasons about this is how they hold energy and how they work once they're in the physical plane and incarnated in a physical body. So some of the problems about being an earth angel, if you're an earth angel already, you'll relate to some of these. So I'm just going to list them and work through each one at a time. So one of the major things that's coming up in the 3D for earth angels is that they attract energy vampires and drainers like moths to a light. So if you're a person, usually earth angels are very empathic, and this is part of one of their gifts of being here, and their ability to heal comes through that. But they do attract a lot of energy vampires or entities or people who like to drain energy. So this has been a real problem in the 3D, because obviously the energy that Earth Angel generates is usually very light, and people are attracted to this because it often feels very pure. Angelic soul coming from the higher dimensions has a very, very pure soul light, and the way the world works is that a lot of people are seeking often what they are lacking or what they are missing in themselves. And so if we get energy parasites, energy vampires, entities, discarnates, they lack that high quality vibration of love and consciousness and creative light. They need it, so they cannot generate it themselves at that point in their lives, or their energetic structures, or whatever's driving them or motivating them, and so they seek it out in others. And because there is so much of that going on at the moment, earth angels can find that their energy becomes like an energy generator, and they get a lot of problems happening with that. And so one of the aspects that can happen, that I'm seeing a lot of in the on the internet when I'm reading, and in the books I'm reading, is that they can become involved in abusive relationships and abusive setups. And a lot of, if you've done a bit of reading around the empath and narcissistic bond that can happen, where an empath attracts abusive relationships through narcissistic partners, people who cannot generate love energy for themselves, they cannot generate their self-love, so they look to it in others, and they generate from that, or they become vampiric vampiric, I think that's the word, like they drain it off other people because they just cannot produce it for themselves. So earth angels can find themselves in abusive relationships, and because of the other reasons I'm going to list, it can be very hard to get out of them. So one of the reasons that happens is because earth angels are very interested in healing, and they cannot help but heal. And this causes them problems because when they feel another person's distress, they feel there's instability in their energy system, or they're very aware that that person needs love and healing, then they cannot help it. It's part of their makeup, it's part of one of the gifts and missions that they came here to do, and they just cannot help but be drawn into those situations, into those people. So one of the problems of this is that dealing with certain aspects, certain entities, certain people, is that those people may not want to heal. And this might be very difficult for an angelic soul to understand, because their consciousness is evolved into a state of light, so they don't understand a person who would not want to heal themselves, or why that person may not want love. So we can face this. This is half the healing I think they try to generate for people, is that those people may not want love, they may not want to heal, they may not want to get better, and particularly if they're dealing with someone who has Wetiko, which, if anyone knows anything about the Wetiko virus, a lot of that is about draining good energy. So, and the process of trauma within a person. So one of the great things an earth angel needs to learn is that these people are on their own journey of process, and often these people are fearful of love, and they want to enslave or control love, or they even want to destroy love. Sometimes when this happens, love is such a strong energy that there can be entities in the universe or people who do not understand love, and so they seek to destroy it purely because it's very frightening to them. Okay, so another problem for an earth angel living on the earth plane is that they can also experience what I call a soul shock. Like they come in incarnated into this earth, and because everything feels so violent and shocking, there can be a fragmentation going on within oneself, like particularly around the heart, because it can be just so shocking that people could be this way, or people could act this way, or things could go on like war or suffering or even illness, and they go through this process of fragmentation that can be hard to understand and get one's head around unless you have another earth angel who has understood this process and is willing to work through it. Some of this I understand that is a learning for earth angels, and that their ability to heal themselves is part of their process. So earth angels can also take too much responsibility for the well-being of others, and this is part of their healing awareness. So we're working this out now in the 3D consciousness, this idea of responsibility. Whose responsibility is what? I find it so interesting. There's a lot of stuff flying around, and when I spent time in Glastonbury in England, there's a lot of "that's your stuff." No, that's your stuff going on. Like if someone didn't like something that was happening, and there was definitely a lot of projections happening, they'd go, "No, it's your stuff." So it's really interesting to be aware of what are we responsible for and what are we not responsible for. And because earth angels are very empathic, they're very light, often they can hold energy for others, consciously or unconsciously. That is changing as we move into the fifth dimension, because we are no longer holding energy as healers. We are radiating light, which is a different way of working. So they can find that they hold responsibility for others, and it becomes detrimental for their own well-being, because they are often people, souls that take responsibility because they have gone through the entire process of the karmic cycles they needed to do to learn, and they have a good understanding of responsibility. Perhaps too good. That's why they take on too much. So another thing that can happen if you're an earth angel is you can find that you are mistreated or disrespected by people who have less understanding than you do, which can lead to an undervaluing of yourself. Oh, this is an interesting one. Yeah, when this happens, it's about, sometimes an experience will happen in life and people will take a viewpoint on it, which is made up of their own thoughts and understanding and their own levels of consciousness, actually. But it is not the viewpoint of the higher self. Now, an earth angel usually takes the viewpoint of the higher self, so because they're naturally attuned to that. So dealing with other people can end up being very confusing, because if one begins to doubt oneself, then it can lead down to a rocky road of confusion, because often the people who are evaluating them or talking to them actually are coming from a lower point of understanding. And I use that term very little, lower point, but it really is like a less consciousness, a lower level of awareness of the bigger picture. So it can lead to earth angels really having problems with self-esteem, and one of the reasons I bring this up is because self-esteem by lack of validation in the 3D can be a problem. So if you meet an earth angel, you're often struck by how amazing their energy is, and it can be quite confusing that they are also displaying signs of, lacking self-esteem. So because their energy is so amazing, why would they lack self-esteem? But often it's because their gifts are not validated in this third dimension. So this is all about to change as we move into the fifth dimension, and we are seeing more validation of healing, of goodness, of qualities of purity and innocence and power that comes through the heart and consciousness. So we are seeing more of that, but to be validated in the 3D often came from how well you did at school, how academic you were, how well you can do in this reality, how much money you can make, how big is your car, stuff like that. So this is a different system of validation, one that I feel is more conscious and in alignment with soul level and heart level. So another problem that earth angels might experience is that they get quite a lot of toxins from the land and other people gathering inside their body, inside their energy system, and the energy balancing can be a full-time job. So I do a lot of energy balancing, and this can mean that one's body, one's energy system can get overwhelmed and exhausted quite easily. So it's important that we're always clearing toxins, and this includes finding spaces to live that feel very harmonious with oneself, lots of connection to healthy nature and running water, and spending time with people who represent something healthy to us and help us to feel good and nourish and regenerate our energy. So I'm about to run out of time because it's only a 15-minute podcast, but I will do more on earth angels, and if you want to connect up with me about working with me, I do one-to-one sessions for earth angels at earthmotherstarchild.co.uk. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. This is about reconnecting up and creating a community of light workers, of awareness, to help us into the fifth dimension. Okay, blessings to you all. Lots of love. Bye.